Like I didn't announce this to anyone except Christy last week, but I've been talking with Christy. Christy, her team is having like phenomenal growth and sales. And Christy, how much in sales do you already have right now?
I personally have almost 12,000, and my team is right at 40,000.
Okay.
Holy moly.
Yes. And so, and this, Christy, wouldn't you say a lot of your growth has happened in the last couple months?
Oh, yes. Before March, my average personal sales was 5,000 and my team sales were 7,000.
Yeah. Okay, so that was what it was prior to some of these changes that she made. So it really stuck out to me. Last month you had 10,000 in sales last month, right?
Yes.
You personally.
Wow.
And
yes.
so I said, okay, Christy, what are you doing, to have this much growth? Because she kept saying, she would send me a message and said, my party doesn't start, till this date, and I already have 1,000. This party doesn't start, and it already has. I'm like, okay, what are you doing to get the sales so early in your party before these parties even start? Like, what are you doing? So I told her at that point, I said, I want to have you on and share some of the things you're doing in your party to help, help with that. So she said that she would do this, and so I'm going to mute everyone just for the sake of background noise, but Christy, I'm going to unmute you in just a second. Okay, Christy, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I wanted her to come on here and share with you all the things that she's been doing, because I know that her team has had such huge growth, and so I know they're doing a lot of these things. But also in her own sales. Because Christy, what would you say before you started doing some of these things? What would you say your average party was?
My average party was probably 500.
Mm-hmm. So tell me the last couple months what your parties have been like as far as total sales once you close them.
About 13 to 1,700.
Okay, so big difference. So who would like to have that be their average party, $1,300 to $1,700? Okay, so Christy, share with us, what are these things that you are doing early in the party to have this kind of success?
Okay, one thing I started doing was I used to invite or set up the parties like on Wednesday, and I would have the host start inviting people on Thursday. My pre-party would be Friday. I stopped doing that because the party would start on Sunday and I'm still, the party still had 12 to 15 people in it. Now I set up the parties on Monday. I talked to the host on Tuesday and Wednesday about getting people in their parties, and now we're averaging 50 people in a party. I'm talking to them each day before the party even begins, getting them so excited about, what they can earn, about what my other parties have done. I started putting, just the last couple of months, I started doing all of the host coaching in one group. I just set up in private messenger, I just set up one group with every host for that week. And I let them know, if you are in this, hang on, my thing's closing. I let them know, if you are in this group, that means your party is starting this Friday, and here's what we need to do. And I start host coaching from the minute I set up the party. One thing I send to every host is something like this, and I will post all of these too on the Hot Shots page, just so you guys can have.
Ask you if there's any way that you could just post the wording that you're using to
yes.
get the hosts in the groups, and what you're saying while they're in the groups together.
Yeah, I will. And I tell them they have a chance to get 4 gifts from me. And I tell them, when your party reaches 200, when you get 40 people to join your party, for every 3 bookings you get, and when your party reaches 650 in sales, then they have a chance to get 4 gifts from me just by doing those things right there. And
what are some of the gifts that you give for that, Christy?
Well, it just really depends on the party. I mean, I used to, I started out with the Little Season's Best cookbook and the citrus pillar. And now I do give, like one host, she just got 6 parties from her party booked for me. So she's going to get $50 in free Pampered Chef just for me that I will pay for. I'll do like a ceramic egg cooker, or, I'll tell them, hey, you've got $15, pick something out and I'll pay for it. So it just really depends on the party. If they're giving me $1,000 parties, their gifts are going to be a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, last week I spent $200 in gifts, but I had like 3 parties over 1,000. One was at 2,000. So I will do a little bit more. What I do on the first day of the party, I don't do like the early bird, whoever orders will be in a drawing. I do, for every $50 order before the party begins, then I will give them they automatically get a gift added to their order. And that's usually something like a paring knife. And then if they do a $100 order before the party begins, then they will be in a drawing. At that point, they'll still get the $50 gift, but they will, or the paring knife for the $50 order, but they will be in a drawing for a new spring product. So I have a party that the pre-party just started today, and she's already over 400. And then I've got 2 others that are just about to qualify already.
And they just started today?
Yes, the pre-party post started today. Mm-hmm. And I set these parties up on Monday, and I already had 2 orders by Tuesday.
So are you posting things in there before the party starts about this order $50?
Nope, I don't post anything. I don't post anything about that until on the first pre-party post. But I get things, I tell them, this is going to be the best party ever, with the little pictures or whatever they are, the memes. And, I just get them excited. I post something each day just to, talk about how exciting this party is going to be. And, it's almost party day, and, just things like that. So for a week, I'm getting everybody excited before my party even begins.
Mm-hmm. And I know she was telling me last weekend, when one of the times she said, my party's over at $1,000 on day 2 or whatever. But what was smart, tell them what you did kind of in your host group, and what that happened, with the other hosts wanting to be like that.
Yeah, what happens is I start in my host coaching, then, when they're qualified or when they get bookings or whatever, I post it in my host coaching group, and the others are seeing it. And so I had one party that was my $2,000 party last week. I mean, he was posting all kinds of stuff in there, and I kept saying, you're already at 500, you're at 1,000, you're at 1,500. I just kept going up every time he'd reach a new level. And so a couple of the other hosts on there were like, can you add us to his party so we can see what he's doing? So I did. They started doing what he was doing, and then they had almost $1,000 parties as well. And but I will do some competition in there, like the host coaching I have right now. Then I tell them the first one to get 3 bookings will get an extra $25 in free. If they can get 6, then they get $50. So they're like trying to. It's kind of a friendly competition between themselves. And then another one, as soon as I tell them, you're really working your party, you got, already 3 orders in the last 30 minutes. Well, guess what's happening? On my other parties, all of a sudden you see those hosts going in those parties working their parties too. So it's really helped getting my hosts all in one group, because we're all competitive in some way or, another. And so they're really, and most of the time it's, a good friendly competition, but they are in their parties now competing against each other. So I have one who has 6 parties, and so another one, she messaged me. She said, hey, I think I can get 6 too. Can I get something? Sure. Privately, I told her, sure, you go ahead and get those 6 parties, and I'll give you, $25 in free too. So I'm already
Absolutely.
booked. I have 23 parties for May, and I already have 10 for June.
Okay, so I love all this. I think that having I think it's good, the host, because then it's working smarter, not harder. You're talking in one group, kind of having them together, posting the
Right.
same sort of information. So if you kind of been messaging each individual host these different things, think about what that would do. And then, even talking about the business and stuff, you could throw out, different ideas and things about the business in that
Hmm.
group too. But I think that, I think it's good to have sometimes that friendly little competition, and it gives them a chance to do like what that other hosts were doing. Can we be added to that party and they can see, what this host is doing. And because if you're just talking to hosts individually, they're going to have no idea what other hosts are doing. I know
Right.
that Stephen Daprowski, he does something where he sends a party that was a successful party for the host to check out, and then he sends them a non-successful party to check out and says, which kind of party do you want? So, I
Hmm.
mean, without doing something like that, this is something you could have similar results where they're hearing about how, a party is being successful and what those hosts are doing to make it successful. So I'm going
Well,
to
and
let
another
you,
thing I do is I will take a picture, like a screenshot of a party that didn't do well, like the sales on the PC web, and I will do one, that the party did great, and I will send that to my host coaching group. And I was like, which one do you think the host was active in? I was like, it really does make a difference if you are active. I can only do so much, but your friends are going to be there for you. If you invited them to your house, you're not going to go stay in the bedroom while they're all partying in the living room. You're going to be involved and you're going to be interacting with them. It's the same way with an online party. You have to interact with them.
yes, absolutely. So I see that Jim asked in here, how often do you post during the pre-party days?
I just do the I do 4 posts, just talking about the pre-party, how to order, um, the tickets and things like that. And so I just do four pre-party posts on the first day, 4 on the second day. And then I may add, something depending on, the party. If I need to get it going or whatever, I will add a couple of, funny things myself. But I have 4 scheduled for each day.
Awesome. So I'm going to let you guys, if you have a question for Christy about anything that you just heard, if you want to unmute yourself and ask, feel free to ask her any questions if you have any about how she does anything in her party.
Okay, so I've been finding that some of my parties kind of fizzle at the end, especially if they get in there too early. How do you keep the momentum going in that if you do the pre-party?
I will do some interacting posts. Like I myself will, post what I had for dinner or what I'm making, and then I will say, 10 extra tickets, for telling me what you're having for dinner tonight, or I'll do, if I see that it's starting to slow down, then I'll do another gift. Okay, everyone that I don't know does something like comments on this will be in a drawing for a free gift. I mean, then all of a sudden they're back.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm.
How many days, Christy, do you do yours?
I have my pre-party on Friday and Saturday, and I run my parties from Sunday to Friday. And I tell them they have until midnight Friday to order. I tell my hosts they have, Saturday morning. I tell them usually on Thursdays to go ahead and start filling out their wish list, their cart, and then Saturday by noon, I'd like to have all parties closed. I also do I changed my party name on Wednesday. I will do, 3 days left, 2 days left, last day to order. I changed the name of my party. And then like that Fab 4, I think it's called. I always send that message to my host and say, send this to every person who has not ordered. And again, I can post that as well, what I send to them.
Okay, awesome. Anyone else have any questions for her at all? All right, I think
I think someone just posted something in the chat.
How many orders from people that are in the party but never comment or like do you usually get?
Usually half my orders are just from people that, want to order and want to get the free gift, or want to support the host, their friend, but they don't have time to be in the party. So I get half my orders just from those that don't even do anything in the parties. But like I said, I really host coach. I mean, that's the main thing. It's, my hosts that are doing most of it. They're really talking to their people. In Messenger, they're posting on their regular Facebook about their party. So they're telling, hey, I have this much in free just by doing this online party. So if you really talk to them and get them excited, you have to sell it to the host. If you can't sell it to the host, you're not going to sell it to the guest. So if they believe in you and trust you and you get that relationship going with them, I mean, I've got so many friends now, and there's some, parties that I really miss because we were so close in the parties and because we talk a lot. So we do a lot of interaction.
Yeah, that's how I felt with a lot of my hosts as well. They've become friends, a lot of them.
Yes.
So.
Can I ask one?
And I have some that have already done 2 or 3 parties with me in the last year. So I'm getting a regular base going.
Yeah. And that's another thing that I started doing is I give a bonus if they go ahead and book with me for the next year. So that could be, an additional little gift you give or something, that if they go ahead and book for you for the next year, and that has actually, I've booked several that way. So another thing to keep in mind. I know that, okay, you can't be Jim. Yeah, but I saw you had a question.
No, I'm Mariana.
Mariana, yeah.
I just want to make sure I understood correctly that you put all the hosts in one messenger, which is what we've all been encouraged to do.
Yes.
And then you start working with them 2 days prior to the pre-party?
No, I start working with them on Monday when I set their party up. And the pre-party is not until Friday.
Okay, so what link is it that you send to them on Monday that they're already getting orders? That's not the Facebook party yet.
Yeah, because they start inviting, I already have their party all set up on Monday, and they start inviting their friends right then. And, like I said, some of them that can't be in the party, they still want to support them, so they will go ahead and order. And I will message them and let them know, hey, you haven't seen this yet, of course, because I haven't posted it, but I just want to let you know on Friday there will be a post that if you do, at least a $50 order, you get a free item for me. If you do, the $100 order, then they'll get the free item plus be in a drawing for a new spring product. So a lot of times they will go ahead and have me add something to their order then.
Okay, but that's through the Facebook party as well as
Yes.
the link. Okay, so they're in there. There's nothing really going on
Right.
that page until Friday.
Right. I will post something, each day, like, this is, going to be the best party ever. I will put like a little joke in there, like something, just to let them know, hey, I'm still here. Don't go anywhere. So, but once I started doing that on Mondays and letting my host have all week to add people, then it's really helped. I mean, I've had 80 to 100 people in some parties, and most of my parties are over 50 people now.
That's awesome.
And when you think about it, a lot of times they'll keep adding people throughout the party, but also if you're not really posting anything in there, they're not getting blown up with notifications or really
Right.
doing anything in the party until it actually starts. They may get the invite, but they're not necessarily just chomping at the bit, you know, when is it going to be? But until they get the, you know, stuff in there. So it's not like you're necessarily pestering them or blowing it up until
Right.
it actually starts, you know, so having them
Right.
there is not necessary. Because think about when you get invited to like an event, a party, you know, that's a few weeks out, you kind of just sit in there, and then once it gets closer, you're going to get these notifications and stuff. So it's kind of the same kind of concept. You are being notified that it's going to start, but then it's not really starting, but it gives that host the opportunity to continue to work to get more people in there. And if you've started this messenger group, you're like, ooh, Susie's at 50 already, way to go, Susie. And they're like, oh man, Susie's at 50, I'm
Yes.
ready, and then invite some more people, you know. So that's where that kind of challenge kind of starts, because they're seeing, oh wow, someone that's hosting the same time as me already has this, I better step it up, you know, a little bit. So I think that's a good idea. So
Okay. So there's not even a post at the top saying the party begins on Friday. You just leave it just the way.
If I see on the first day that there's a lot of people already in there, I will let them know. Thanks, you know, for joining our party. We will start pre-party post on Friday, and then I leave it at that.
Cool.
do you go ahead and post in there the link to order, Christy, at that
Yes.
time? So the link
Yes.
to order. So basically that first post, kind of the, here's when it's going to start, here's the link to
Mhm.
order, that can still go in there. But other than
Yes.
that, you're not going to really start anything until the Friday.
Right.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions before we jump
Mhm.
off here? I hope this was helpful. I hope that this gave you some tips and ideas of things maybe, because I knew I just wanted to pick her brain a little bit, because that's been a question of, okay, well, how do I get more sales at the beginning of my party? And I think this would be some good tips to try. And having your hosts, you know, kind of challenging each other, I think is a good thing too. And a friendly
And I
way.
don't mind adding people to my parties or to my host coaching thing. I just ask that you don't comment. Because like I said, it is, you know, a relationship between my host and myself, but I have added, we've had several that have asked me to be added to some of my parties just to see what I'm doing, or to, you know, my host coaching. So I don't mind adding anyone to that.
Well, thank you, Christy, so much for your
You're
tips
welcome.
and your advice and your help with this. I appreciate you being willing to hop on here and do that. So,
You're
and thank you
welcome.
guys for hopping on. this
Thank you
call.
both.
Thank
At
you,
a short
guys.
notice, but I'll post the recording. So if you want to go back, or if you want to tell someone, hey, jump on and listen to this, you know, then you can do that as well. So bye, guys. You guys have a great Friday.
Thank you, Christy.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. You're welcome.
Thank